So welcome once again after the break, everyone. We are reaching to a very nice evening. What a power pack session throughout the day. Wow. And it's not stopping anywhere. So we are into the session 20 track 2 and we have a very great, one of the expert in terms of performance testing among us, Mrudul. He is associated right now with Fidelity International. He is again having more than decade years of experience into performance testing and engineering. What he believes is into the problem solving. What a great thought. And then possesses both analytic and experimental mindset. And then of course trying to strongly adaptability into the professional environment which he brings into. A great topic which he will be sharing with all of us is why application performance monitoring tools required for live applications. I'm really looking forward for this wonderful topic, Mrudul, and I'm sure audience are gonna love it and gonna take a lot of insight from your wonderful experience. Great audience. Once again, you can find more about Mrudul on the link which is in front of you, and you can chit chat with him if you have any other outstanding question which we are not able to cover up during 5 minutes of last Q&A. So stage is all over to you, Mrudul. All the best.
Thank you. Thank you, Sumit. Good afternoon and good evening to everyone. Let me share my screen first.
Yeah, your slides are visible. If you can just put it in a presentation mode. And
Yep.
yeah, perfect. Yeah, all the
Okay.
best.
Thank you. So, topic for me today is why APM tools are required for live applications. So, before going to this topic, let's understand why this is required and why we are coming to this topic. So, in the current fast and dynamic world, everyone or even the offline businesses or the small scale businesses are moving to the online. And given that the pandemic, which has been there for the last 2 years, it is exponentially increased, everyone going to online. If you see the small scale in India as well, so small scale businesses, whether they are going online or directly via their own website or using a marketplace like Amazon or Flipkart, they are just wanted to go live and make best use of the online system which has been there. But so if we see that most of the things are going online, so if we see if there's any downtime of a live application, even if you got 10 minutes or 15 minutes, it leads to a losses in the business. Sometimes those losses are in the scale of millions or billions as well. And on top of it, if we don't know the RCA or the root cause of those issues in the live application, due to n number of reasons and mostly related to the monitoring tools are not available in the system, that leads to a situation where you are living with that issue in the live environment and you never know when the next downtime will happen in the production. So I was recently working with helping me one of my friend who is a developer of a financial application where they are mysteriously seeing an issue which is coming up every 2.5 hours in the system, and that leads to a downtime in an application. And perfect to the example, they don't have any APM or monitoring tool with them, and they don't know the issue, root cause analysis. Do you know what they have done it to just to make sure that application is up and running in the production environment? It's the best and the foremost thing which everyone does it, restart the system. So they what they have done is they have just configured a script which will restart the system every 2 hours in a cyclic basis, so that this issue will not reoccur for them for a certain period in the future. But definitely that issue is there, and just they have postponed that issue for a certain duration in the live application. What we want to do is we just don't want to postpone that issue. We want to fix that issue and make our production environment more stable and more predictable instead of making more unpredictability in the system. So for them, what we are saying is for making the systems predictable, more stable, we would need APM tools. Now, most of you must be saying that what is this APM? Because APM is something like the person who is working on a support systems or the person who is working on in the performance engineering domain must be knowing that what the APM is, but other person might not be knowing it. So APM as a full form will say is application performance monitoring. which we say is that it's a practice of monitoring application based on performance, availability, and capacity check. These are the three parameters basically which we monitor using an application performance monitoring tools. Now, what we say is how these APM tools will help in the live application. Perfectly, that's a good question to us. About, how an APM tool can help us out. So if we see that when we configure an APM tool in an application, it captures a vast list of matrices with them, majorly, mostly CPU, memory, other things as well. But we need to define what all things which we need to capture it and what all things which we need to define to make sure that our production environment is up and running, it's working as expected or not. So in today's topic, we would be figuring out and discussing on four important items for how we can utilize APM in the most effective way for a live application. The first item would be end user experience, how we can measure end user experience and how it is helping in the production state. Second is application user load pattern, how the application end user load is coming to the application and how it is helping out in the production state. Third is alerting system, and fourth is application profiling. So I will go in detail in one by one in all the topics. Let's first take an example of an end user experience. Let me go back to IRCTC system. I think most of the people in India must be knowing about the IRCTC, which is Indian Railway ticket booking site. So if I take you back to the 10 years from now onwards, if you have I think most of you have seen that IRCTC 10 years back. It was a pain when we log into the system. Most of the times it was like we were facing some issues in logging to the system, and that's exactly what I wanted to say is how much time it takes to navigate from one page to another page or navigate to the system. It's with respect to the performance. So that's the one thing which I want to target here. I know there are functional aspects of the end user experience which was covered in the last session by Anish and Praveen. I am talking here about the performance aspect as well for the end user perspective. For end user perspective, so the first point comes out to be is page load time. So if we see that if we have provided a website to an end customer and we are not able to capture how much time it is taking to load those web pages to the end customer. So we are not justifying to the end customer's experience or what are their expectations around it. So if you see in the current picture, this gives you a trained analysis of how the end user is experiencing a page load. So if you see in the right side, we are saying that this page is opening in 3.49 seconds, and this page is deviating from 3 seconds to even for a 6 seconds, 6.5 seconds as well, due to some peaks which are coming during the time frame. And we also can see multiple other details from this graph itself. So user experience is something which is defined from multiple aspects. First thing is how it is performing at the customer end, user end. Second is what is the network they are using it, how much time we are elapsing on a network. Third thing is how much time it is working on a rendering perspective. So if you can see that in the graph itself, it's divided into 3 colors, and every color has a different perspective. One is network, second is DOM processing, third is page rendering. Something is dependent upon on the end customer perspective as well. Something is dependent on the network or the server perspective, application server perspective. The second thing which comes out with the end customer. So given that it's an online system, and online system previously it was like only the one browser which was mostly used, like Internet Explorer. But given the vast of IT industry coming up, it's there. So we have a vast list of devices, vast list of browsers as well. What we want to make sure is that every customer is having a similar performance to us. and every browser should have a similar performance, but most of the time it does not happen. And we want to know that if there is any such situation which is coming up for our application as well. So these things can be identified using these monitoring tools. So if I go in the current slide, this distribution is something which we can get from these tools, like on a different browser, how the same application is performing. And if you can see that in the Chrome browser, which is open on a tablet, it's performing in 5.7 seconds, while a Safari browser, which is open on a desktop or a laptop, it's performing in 2.9 seconds. So you can see that it's a 100% deviation, which we can see uh, between the browsers which are being accessed on multiple devices. So that's a trend which we can see around it, and we can work it out in our development phase, how we can make it better for every customer which we can have. The next aspect with respect to the end user is like because we are going to the internet, and the main reason for going to the internet is we can have orders or we can have customers from across the globe. And that's the next aspect is our application performing equivalent across the globe. If a user from United States is having a same experience compared to the user which is accessing the same application from India or any other country. So that's another aspect which I have which we can get it from the tools, is like we can have a user base from which country, what is the response time which we are seeking, and we can have a trend analysis around. So if you can see in the lower bar, there is a scale of 0 to 63 seconds, and with the color going towards the red side, it's a degradation in the response time which we can see. Also in the same graph, we can also fetch those details around, like what is the user load which is coming up from these locations. So it's a way of reading those graphs from these tools. Whatever things which you want to get it from the tools, it's the way of reading those things and how you are implementing those things. The second aspect, which after the end user experience is, which we want to talk about application user load pattern. So for any developer or any tester, you should be knowing about it, what your business is, what your end customer is. If you're not knowing about the business and if you're not knowing about the end customer, there is a very high chance that you are not sufficing those needs. So if you take upon the load pattern, it's based on the user for which you are serving around. So what I want to depict from this slide is from the user load pattern, we got to know that for it's not every day is not consistent, every day is not same. So for user load can vary on multiple factors, and it can vary on every day. If you can see in the slide itself, so for some days it has breached visits of 12,000 per day as well, and for some days it has less than 4,000 as well. So some days there are peaks, some days there are minimal requests which are coming up. The second view for this is this graph itself is firstly it's a daily basis. We can also get it on a hourly basis as well, because similar to the day, on every hour, it's not likely that we are getting a similar load. The graph which I've predicted here is for a financial application which is working in the trading market in UK. For UK, trading market starts from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. in the evening. So if you can see in the graph as well, the increase in the user visits or user load keeps starting from 7 a.m. and after 6 p.m. These user loads are keep on minimal, and so during the business hours we have a higher load. We do have a peaks around it, and that helps us out around to define a performance NFRs, to define our performance test suits around it, so that we keep our enough buffers around it for a production landscape. And that helps us out around NFR gathering and NFR establishment as well. And We have talked about two things. One is for the daily view, second is on the hourly view. The third and the foremost thing around the user load pattern is once the user is logged into the system, which all pages they are navigating. There must be around hundreds of pages which are there in the website, but are these pages accessed equally? No, it does not happen all the time. 100% it's not happen like every pages are accessed at the same number of page visits or some page views. So there are some pages which are accessed multiple times. There are some pages which are not accessed even once as well. So this type of matrices can be captured from these tools, application monitoring tools, where we can, and this helps out in configuring our performance tests as well. So if we can see that I have listed out around out of 2,500 URLs, top 10 URLs we have listed out. We can increase this list depending upon the view which we want to get it. So if we can, how we can read it out is for URL one, there are three parameters before going forward. There are three parameters with which these matrices are coming up. There are two more which I have not shown it in the graph right now because those are not much important for us. So there are unique visitors. These are visits, and next one is the page views. Unique visitors are something like the person, the end user is the unique for that URL. So if we uh, look about on the context of URL1, there are around 453k thousand unique visitors for that URL1 in the period of I think 6 months for which I have taken the graph. Similarly, the visits are something like when a user logged in and click on a URL1, that counts to be a visit, even if it is before logging out. If it clicks on another time on the same URL, it will count it as a page views, but it not counts in the visits. It These definition is defined by every monitoring tool. It's not consistent across the monitoring tool. So be aware that whichever monitoring tool which you are using, you read their documentation first before getting those views and before making your understanding around these parameters. So if you can read it out like for URL1, unique visitors are 250k unique visitors. Total visits which we have is like 1810k visits, and for page views it's a very high number, so another high number. Now the next aspect which is very important with respect to the application, live application, and which with respect to the stability of the application as well, which is the alerts. So if we say that if you have set up alerts in live environment and proper alerts are set up in a live environment, we can predict our downtimes which are going to happen, and we can postpone those downtimes, and we can prevent those downtimes in the production environment. So those alerts can be set up based on response time, throughput, and server matrices, which are CPU, memory, disk IO, DB connection pool, HTTP connection pool. There are n number of alerts which we can set up, but just I have listed out some of them which are very common to us, and those should be set up in the live environment to make sure our applications are up and running. I would like to like to have your attention here is specifically for throughput. I will take an example of response time in the next slide, specifically about throughput. So let's take an example. There is an API which is being triggered on a login of an application. That throughput for that API, which was benchmarked before making live during a performance test, is let's take an example. It's 100 requests in 5 minutes, and that's been taken to live, and we have set up an alert of which says that 95 calls in 5 minutes. If it is more than 95 calls, we would be getting an alert, because alert should be made slightly lesser than the benchmark value. If it is more than the benchmark value, there is no point of making those alerts, because you are already breaching the benchmark and you are making production vulnerable to the system, vulnerable to the downtime. So always make sure that your alerts are set up in a such a way that those are not breaching your benchmarks or baselines. Always make them, there should be a buffer when you are setting alerts. So continuing to that example, so it was benchmarked at 100 requests per 5 minutes, and we have set up at alert of more than 95 calls in a 5 minutes. There would be an alert. Alert can be in shape of an incident. Alert can be in shape of an email as well. Whatever way you want to make sure that support people are known around it, you can set up those alerts. So when this API was taken live in production, we were seeing that 60 requests per 5 minutes were coming into the system. After 6 months of down the time, there is another system, another application which is made live, and that system was also using the same API. Now, so someone has not taken care of re-benchmarking this API and taken it live. Now, in the production, now the application team is seeing that we are getting around 96, 97 calls per 5 minutes, and we are getting a proper alert around it. By making these alerts, we are predicting the system, like we might get a downtime in the production, and that calls out to the developers and the testers as well. Like we need to re-benchmark the system with a higher load so that we have buffers available in the production. And if there is the case of any spikes as well, we can take care of those spikes in the production. So that's the what which I wanted to help you out, like how we want to place our alerting system in the live environment. And the last topic which wanted to cover is for application profiling. So let's take an example during live application as well, or during the performance testing as well. You identified a performance issues with respect to the response time, and you said that this API or this web application or this application is performing in 6 seconds or 7 seconds in the live application, live environment, and you want to know that why this is taking 7 seconds. So for their monitoring tool can help you out, because monitoring tools help us out with the transaction tracing as well. So transaction tracing is something like response time breakdown across the layers. So if you can see in the screenshot, this screenshot help us out. Like the initial request was taking around 7.5 seconds, which you can measure it from the first line. And if once we see the breakdown which is coming up, so we can see that the last line, which is the last node application code, which saying that owner list.jsp is taking 6.4 seconds. So it's most of the time which is covered up in the application code. Though this is not in a granular way, we can also drill down in a more granular way if we have configured the monitoring tool in such a way. But even though after this as well, monitoring tools can help us out further as well to list down where exactly the issue is by using the threat profiling and the heap dumps. So those are standard processes which every monitoring tool provides. Like threat profiling, you can profile your threads and can help us out where exactly the issue is. And similarly, the heap dumps, you can take the heap dumps from the tools. Some tools provide the analysis as well. So some tools does not provide it. You just take out the heap dumps and you can use the open source heap dump tools to analyze those things, and those dumps can help you out, like what are the memory issues around it, if there are any. I think that's it from my side. Any questions?
Yeah, the last tool that you have showed, can you go back to one slide back? Yeah, yes, no, one slide ahead.
This one?
Yeah, no, the next one.
This one?
Actually, the second last one. Yeah, this one. So I believe this is Eclipse memory analyzer tool. not an
Yes,
APM?
this is a MET tool. I've just mentioned it like that. Heap dumps can be taken via application monitoring tool as well, directly by incorporating attaching any other tool as well. But some tools provide those details by analyzing those things. Sometimes some tools does not provide it. You can take those dumps, externalize those terms in the system, and can use other application tools like MET is one of the cases for which I have shown the screenshot. You can externalize those dumps and can analyze in the other tools as well.
Okay, well, thank you. I think there are other questions as well posted in the chat box.
Are you there, Sumit? Or you want me to? Yeah.
Yeah, I am here. Sorry, I was on mute. So, Murdal, there is one very interesting question for you. Does continuous monitoring of the performance affects app performance? Like if we are doing continuously these things, will it make any impact? Yeah.
Normally, these application monitoring tools does not impact the performance, but definitely for some of the tools might impact depending upon the application architecture. So normally these tools are very lightweighted. They just silently take those matrices of the application directly from the servers and feed into their servers. So normally they does not impact the system, but for any complex structure which interacts with the monitoring tool might impact it.
All right. And then there is another question, which is best, APM to monitor Oracle DB?
Oracle DB, so Oracle DB, there is a inbuilt Oracle which provides like AWR reports and OEM. So OEM is the best thing which we can get it from for the Oracle DB. So these application monitoring tools are mostly for the web frontend or the application which are created on a Java or a .NET framework. For databases, it's like Oracle is the mostly you widely utilized, and Oracle provides OEM for Oracle Enterprise Monitoring for getting those details.
All right. Mrudal, will that be fine for you to share all these application tools which you have shown in the presentation? Jeevan from the audience is asking if you can please share that with everyone.
Yep. Mostly I have used New Relic as a tool. I can share you the list of the tools which we can utilize as a application performance monitoring.
Okay.
And based on the layers which we are using it, so it's like multiple layers. There are multiple tools which are there.
All right, all right. Then we have something from coming from the Rituraj. Rituraj, you can also ask if you want. He's trying to ask how to leverage benefits of DevOps and software release engineering monitoring tools for the purpose of application performance monitoring, okay, of a live application. So how we can leverage this benefit, combining with the DevOps and this SRE monitoring, yeah?
So DevOps monitoring, I'm just wanted to reframe it, the question, and just re-ask it. DevOps, what do we mean by DevOps monitoring? If you can elaborate, that would help.
Maybe
Yeah.
maybe tools like Nagios, Evanios, or when it comes to site reliability engineering, there are specific tools out of which do you think that there are specific benefits which we can leverage out of it, more of shift left approach?
Yep. So I'm sorry to say that I'm not very much seen those tools right now. So if I get a view around it, definitely I can provide my views around it.
Okay, so maybe I can ask you this question in other way around. The tools which you have used, you mentioned about New Relic, right?
Yeah.
Whether we can run that tool and get to see the performance monitoring in a CI/CD setup.
So these monitoring tools does not require to be configured every time. So once it is configured, it's there in the live system. So in CI/CD, like we need to configure it for every deployment. We need to configure it.
So that acts as an additional headache for us then, yeah?
It's not an additional headache. So for the first time when you are deploying in the system in the live environment, you just configure. It's like a configuration item. So there are something which are there in the configuration. Just to have it in the first time in the configuration, and next time when you are deploying a code, you don't need to deploy this configuration again. So for the first time in the live environment, you need to set it up.
I think we are almost on time, but I just wanted to maybe little bit elaborate your question, Rituraj. I think what you want to say when we talk about DevOps, continuous feedback is something which we often talk, right? And here what we are doing is live application monitoring, right? So how because you are doing configuration once and give a result, multiple times again and again, right? So how you guys are doing this kind of a continuous feedback loop while doing this monitoring? Maybe that last question you can take, and then there are some questions which you can take offline.
So it's like a continuous cycle is like it's based on a alerting system. So mostly is driven by an alert. So if you are setting an alert which would be done either manually or an automated via DevOps. So once that alert is set up, you would be automatically getting those from the production system, and there is nothing as such which need to be done by our by any DevOps engineer or a performance engineer or any support engineer. Once the monitoring tool is configured on an application, those are run automatically, and these are like keep on monitoring those systems at the same on a regular automated way. So there is nothing as such on a cyclic way. It will give you an alert as and when there is a condition which is breached in the system.
Right, but yeah, maybe I was not able to quote my question, Rudal. What I wanted to say was like when you are doing this continuous monitoring and only on the basis of alert something is happening, okay? The point here was when we talk about DevOps, we wanted to have a continuous feedback loop. Whatever is happening, we wanted to share with everyone across the team, right? Whether it's a development team or the project management team, right? So when you are doing this kind of a performance monitoring, okay? So which kind of a tool technology stack you are using, maybe Slack or MS Team, where you are giving this feedback? And if you are doing it, like how? That is what my question was.
So it's not via MS Team, it's via email which we have done it. So we have created those dashboard in the New Relic itself, and we have enabled a email function around it, so that we can regularly send those emails directly to the business stakeholders which we have. Even if we can externalize those URLs to the business customer, they can view out those on a regular basis as well as and when they are required. And these dashboards are created in a very user-friendly way so that everyone can understand those matrices. We have removed those technical conditions around it.
And what is your mode of collaboration? So this is a notification, but what about collaboration? Like where exactly this collaboration is happening on the reporting and dashboard?
So collaboration happens with the primary objective of this doing is making sure that support system, like everyone has a production support around it. So production support knows about it. Is there any issue which is coming up? And we have set up a meeting of around weekly or bi-weekly to review those reports on a regular basis if there are any issues which are coming up in the system.
Okay. Okay, there is one more question for you. Vishal, I'm just reading your question out. I hope PM means project management for you. Vishal is asking, can we have a list of PM tools? I think it is performance matrix tool application wise, right, Vishal? But what I'm not getting is why we want application wise tool list. Yeah. Okay. So performance monitoring tool application wise. I think I will elaborate a little bit more. I think he's trying to ask domain wise, maybe. Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
So there is no
and on what basis we are choosing performance management tools?
So there are multiple tools in the system. So it depends upon what is the requirement which is there in the system and what is the offering which you are getting. So in my current organization, we are using a PaaS system, PaaS tool, PaaS APIs. So for in the Pivotal is offering us a complete package of around Pivotal plus New Relic. So that's why New Relic is a tool which is being offered to us, and we have accepted it because it provides a lot of variety of data which is sufficing our needs. But it's most of the monitoring tools are something like they provide those details which are similar in nature, but it depends upon what are your requirements and what are your needs with respect to the overall package which has been purchased by the enterprise solution, as well as the pricing as well, because every tool has a different pricing structure. There is no as such guiding principle around with respect to the technical area, because every tool support a vast variety of technology stack. So it's more about a package costing which is there and what is the costing which is involved around it. Definitely for
I
databases, there is a different tool set which has been there. For front end, there is a different tool set around it. So we need to play around it.
I think Mrudul, you have nailed a very nice point. Let's not be a fool from the tool, right? Often we talk. It's all based on the context and the different dimensions, and then we decide a tool. So it's our problem statement and a context, and then a tool will appear. Okay,
Yeah.
but really, let me take control back, Mrudul, if you allow me to share my screen back. And all other questions, audience, we will be posting with Mrudul and he will reach out offline to all of us. Yeah. So here you go. I'm sharing my screen back. Just let me know if you can see my screen.
Yeah.
All right, thank you. So thank you once again, Mrudal, from my side and from entire ATA and our great audience. I think it was really a wonderful session. I have really learned and few of the things and the myths which was there, you have really, sorted out. So thank you once again from entire ATA and audience, please go and have a feedback for Mrudul. And once again, thanking to all our community partners and the sponsor, right? So